Hello there and welcome back to my YouTube channel and to today's video all about everything you need to know about the ACCA SBL exam, all the key topic areas and some study tips thrown in there for you. Now today I'm delighted to be joined by Sean Purcell. Did you like that accent on there, Sean, as well? Who is an ACCA SBL guru, has been teaching this subject area for a number of years, and I'll let him introduce him now. I've stolen your thunder there, Sean, at the start.
Thanks, James, and well done for helping students with this. James has asked me to talk to you a little bit about SBL. I was involved with SBL and the ACCA. Probably the exam came out in 2018, and I've been involved developing training on behalf of the ACCA since about 2016. And I think a good way to understand SBL is why was it introduced? And basically, the ACCA do a lot of kind of communication with industry, making sure that their qualification is still relevant. And I think what a lot of people were saying to the ACCA was that, you know, it's great, but we are getting students who are very good at regurgitating information and maybe not able to think on their feet very well. So the SBL was a rework and a review of a couple of kind of more management-based subjects to try to encourage students to be kind of more lateral thinking and you know, not just regurgitate theories and stuff, but to take information and to connect it together and draw conclusions from it. So that's the background why, and that might hopefully help you understand, you know, why the exam is structured the way it is.
And talking of the exam structure then, Sean, let's get straight into it then. Talk me through what you would expect to see in an ACCA SBL exam. What should a student who's watching this with their pen and paper at the ready need to get noted down?
Well, it's you've got 4 hours, and a lot of people straight away go, "Ooh, 4 hours." But I would suggest to you, think of it as a 3-hour exam, which you've got 4 hours to do. Yeah, it's a case. The pages can run up to 16 pages. And there's a little introduction, and then you have a variety of different information. You might have extract from a newspaper article. You might have extract from some accounts. You might have a corporate governance report. You might have some health and safety report. And you have to kind of absorb this information, blend it together, and then use what you have in your head to, you know, develop answers to the various tasks that you're asked to do. These tasks tend to form, there's a syllabus guidance area, so we need to know a bit about strategy, we need to know about governance, we need to know about risk, and questions tend to, you know, flow around that. But they also would rely on you to have an opinion. And sometimes students feel a little strange because it's not in the book and you're asked for an opinion. But just as in life, not everything is in the book. You know, you sometimes have to express an opinion based on various experiences. SBL will have an element of that.
Okay, spot on. And you mentioned about there the case study. Is this pre-released, or is this actually when you rock up to the exam, that's it, you've got to go through it and analyze it there and then?
No, that's a great question, James. So when they were developing the exam, there was obviously other case study papers from other professional bodies. And those other professional bodies tend to have case studies that they give pre-exam information. But I think I kind of agree with what the ACCA did, and the ACCA decided not to do that because what was happening with other professional bodies is students would try to preempt questions and learning answers to all the potential things that could be asked. Whereas SBL, you have to absorb the scenario on the day, and you have to give your opinion on what you see and what you understand on the day, and that's much more reflective of real life. We're not told what's going to happen for the next 12 months in real life in business. So I think the ACCA chose an exam to be more reflective of that.
Nice. I mean, even for this recording, you and I have just sent each other a message, and look at us now. Here we go.
There you go. Yeah, there's no. Yeah, exactly.
SBL for a lovely Monday afternoon on there. But coming on to some of the key areas now, because am I right in thinking there's a 50% pass rate, give or take, for ACCA SBL?
Yes, I mean, you know, I think if those of you're an accountancy student and you know a little bit about statistics, that yes, the big it's about 50%, yes. But I think if you prepare well and you get some decent guidance on where to go, you should pass it. But
Should be all right.
unfortunately, not everyone takes the advice, and therefore there are some people that treat it as learning tax or
Hmm.
learning PM, which is not like that, and unfortunately they don't fail. Sorry,
Right.
they don't pass.
Yeah, we'll make sure we get it the right way around on there. But
Exactly.
with the new system that the students can now sit exams once every quarter. So once you actually get your results, it can be 6, maximum 7 weeks before the exam. If you're starting out completely new, I mean, how long would you actually recommend for an average student? I know it's such a tricky
Oof.
question, but I get it all the time.
Yeah.
How long do you need to prepare for ACCA SBL in your opinion?
Well, I mean, what's an average student, James? But um, my advice to students would be, you build up to an exam, be it March, June, September, or December, and then some people want to start again straight away studying. I say,
Mm,
no, no, just take a week off or maybe even two to reward yourself. But please, if you want to get these exams quickly and get qualified and start earning some real money as soon as possible, you probably don't want to spend any more than a week or two after your exam. So that gives you 4 weeks till results, and that gives you 6 weeks. So yeah, that should be long enough. I think the key thing, James,
mhm,
is to get control of your life. And this is not just for SBL, it's for any exam, and have a kind of timetable of living. And in
mm,
that timetable of living, I have time where I do some work if I'm employed. I do a bit of studying for my exam, but also I have time in there for exercise, time
yeah,
out with my friends. But if we develop a routine and we, go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time, I think you'll find your studying much more manageable, and you're much more likely to be successful.
yeah,
Just like a sports person would behave, or anyone trying to achieve a goal, they tend to have clear structures to what they do. And those structures are kind of written down so that they happen.
mm.
So it just going, it's a bit of a long answer, James, sorry, but I would say
No,
it is
happy.
doable in those kind of weeks. Hopefully, if you could get one, I would try to help yourself with some decent, I mean, there are only, I would look at what is approved ACCA providers or publishers,
Yeah.
and the only publishers who give books are Kaplan and BPP.
Mhm.
Although it's not an exam to learn out of a book, get some decent publishing. Just be careful. Obviously, watch your YouTube channel, but unfortunately, amongst your great YouTube, James, there are a few dodgy ones, and some of the advice given there is like, oh my goodness. But uh, so look at the ACCA website. There's
Yeah.
lots of good stuff on there. Um, I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm here to give some advice to your people, but it's a lot easier. When I learned to drive, I got a driving instructor. I didn't kind of read books on driving and try and work it out. So
Mm.
it's up to you. But I think people who don't do, when I did exams, I like sacrificed a bit to do a course because it got
Mm.
me qualified more quickly, and I kind of saw it as an investment as opposed to a cost.
Mm.
I see some people who come and pass with me, but they've tried it 4 or 5 times before, or where they've spent a year and a half not only going through the pain of studying, but not getting any salary rise and just becoming demotivated. And so,
Yeah.
think carefully
Bit
about that.
stagnant.
But I think but yeah, you've got to have rejuvenation time in your studying, which and also exercise is a great thing because studying stresses us, and we produce a chemical called cortisol, which is a stress chemical. We can only sweat cortisol out, but that's the only way. And even better, if you exercise, you produce a chemical called endorphin, which
Hmm.
is a happy chemical, and that kind of counterbalances. So yeah, get organized would be my advice.
Rock and
Don't do,
roll.
I mean, and have in the diary fun. Have a lot of fun because that's a reward for when you study.
Nice. Well, I'll be going for my usual run this evening, short after a long day at work. So that'll be good for me on there. But coming back on
Yeah,
to more
of course.
important SBL stuff, would you recommend doing it by itself as an individual exam, or what other
Um,
exam would you pair with it? What's your best advice on that?
I think, if you're passing 4 exams a year, you're doing well.
Mm,
It depends how much time you've got, but I would probably be ticking one off each session to get it out of the way. You could do two. I think, an advice which you've probably given to students on other things, you wouldn't do, if you were choosing AAA as an option at strategic professional level, you would do SBR first. If you were choosing APM at strategic professional level, you should do SBL first. And I'd also say before you do SBL, you should do the ethics and professional skills module, because that kind of conditions your brain to think the right way.
Yeah, I mean, the stats are out there. ACCA put them on their website. So if you haven't already checked out the free materials, please do so. But it is on there to say that in the data, it tells us students who do that ethics and professional skills module before they do ACCA SBL have a higher chance of passing on there.
Yes. Yeah, it's a no-brainer, and I was part of that work with the ACCL, James, and so you're absolutely right. The thing is, you've got to do EPSM to get qualified.
Yeah.
Now, once you've passed the exams, which I think it will be more difficult to pass if you don't do EPSM before attempting the final 4 exams, you've got to do it anyway. So it's actually useful. It's useful for all the strategic professional exams, but particularly useful for SBL, because on SBL, there's 80 marks given, and then there's 20 marks given for professional skills marks. And these marks take no time to acquire, but they're given for the tone, the emphasis, how you put together your argument, as one would be judged in the workplace to do the same. And actually, ethics and professional skills module have modules on skepticism, that's a professional skills mark. On communication, that's a professional skills mark. Evaluation, that's a professional skills mark. Analysis, so it's a no-brainer. Please do EPSM.
Oh, completely agree. And if you said to any ACCA student, you can have 18 marks, that could be turning up on your exam. If you do a module for it, you've got a better chance of getting them. Well,
massively
bite your hand off for that. 18 marks. It's difficult enough to get to 50.
Exactly, and that's another thing. You said it. You hit the nail on the head there, James. A lot of people, people win prizes and all that with me, and that's great. But all you need to do is get over 50 in SBL, and to get over 50, you've got to try to get over 50% in each of the tasks. And I think a big challenge people have on SBL is they don't manage their time very well, so they answer 3/4 of the paper, and to get 50 out of 3/4, say 50 out of 75, is not 50%, it's like 63%, which is much more difficult. Whereas always the first 50 are the easiest marks to acquire, the second 50% are more difficult. Manage your time, get the first 50, and you will get a little bit more if you've prepared well, and then you'll pass it.
I always say you're at it. It's amazing, but I'm going to say it anyway, that you're actually at an advantage if you're answering all 100 marks compared to other students, because it just staggers me that some people answer 90 marks or 80 or 75. I just go, if you've had a go at 100, then you just need to hit 50. If you only answer 75, then, oh my word, that is going to be a lot more difficult. And of course, I mean, it's a 4-hour exam, but work up until the last minute as well. I hear some people saying, I thought I did all right. Thought I've done quite a lot on that, James. I was okay. Analysed it. I had 15 minutes at the end, but I thought I'd done enough. What are your thoughts on that, Sean, for anyone preparing for this?
Oh, gosh. I say never let any marks go free. For me, it's a project management exercise in mark acquisition. It's a 10-mark question, for argument's sake. So I know I need to be safe, probably try and get 6 or 7, and then I'm in a safe zone, 60, 70%. And I go in there, I know my time. So we probably don't have time to go into it all, but if you do 40 minutes reading and planning, I work it out at about 2.5 minutes per mark you've got. So 10-mark question, 2.5 minutes per mark, 25 minutes. The time on the clock might be 10 in the morning. That means I have got until 10:25 on subheading, get that mark, move on, next one, get that mark, move on. And it's a project management exercise in mark acquisition. That's what it is. Right. And once that time is up, and you should feel this, you feel it, it's like, oh, I could say more. Of course you could say more, but you've said enough. And it's about getting over 50.
Fantastic. Yeah. So just to clarify that, you recommend that you take 40 minutes at the start for your planning and your sort of preparation, and that will leave you the 3 hours.
Well, I think so.
As a
I
guideline?
mean, that it's open to adjustment, but it's a
Yeah.
4-hour exam, which is
Mm.
240 minutes. To digest and read and understand all of the information, I would suggest would take you at least 40 minutes.
Hmm.
So it's important to become familiar with kind of some good business English through reading business journalism to help speed up your reading. It does make a difference. So therefore, we take 40 off 4 hours, 240 minutes. We've got
Yeah.
200 minutes left, but we don't divide by 100 marks because those professional skills marks actually don't take any time at all. They are the kind of lens through which we interpret and deliver our answer. So
Mm.
we get 80 technical marks and 20 professional skills marks. So the 200 minutes left after reading and planning divided by 80 give me 2.5 minutes a mark. And
Oh,
that's
okay.
my budget. And often, if marking papers and the examiner, when he's marking papers, and someone gets, oh, I got 46, I just missed out, they really want you to pass. But because probably got 46 out of 70, which is a pretty good answer, but you need to get 50 or more to pass.
Mm.
So the person that gets 46 is normally someone that didn't complete the exam, or
Yeah.
sometimes it's that person, they completely misread a question, so
Yeah.
they lost 15 marks because they just didn't read the question properly. But
Yeah.
they
Classic.
didn't marginally fail. The examining team really tried to help them pass, but they just didn't write enough.
Yeah, it's the exam pressure. Maybe you've just misread a key buzzword in the requirement, something on those lines,
Exactly.
and then you go off on one tangent, and the answer wanted you to go down that road down there,
Exactly.
isn't it? But I mean,
Well,
sure.
I mean, there's a good point I would say on there, James, is when you do exams, if you've got a bit of adrenaline running through your veins, that's good because that will help you perform. But that adrenaline can also hijack your brain processes, and you can see things that you want to see rather than what are actually there. So
Yeah.
my advice would be I read the requirement once, okay. I read it again,
Hmm.
okay. I then do a brainstorm, a mark focus, and a plan. And just before I jump in, I step back and I read that requirement one more
Mm.
time. Does my plan and the requirement connect? And if it does, fantastic. If it doesn't, it says only advantages, not advantages and disadvantages or whatever. But that is, people, oh, I haven't got time to do that. Well, you've got 30 minutes to go down the wrong road. I don't
Mm.
think so.
Yeah.
So it's important.
Answer the question. They always write it in all of the external examiner reports. Students continually answer the question they want to answer and not what we
Yeah.
want them to answer on there. I completely agree with you, Sean, and some fantastic tips in there as well, I must say. But I mean, are there any sort of final thoughts that are just looming in your mind that you said, James, I couldn't sleep tonight unless I told the ACCA SBL students who are listening right now with their pen and paper at the ready? Whew, take it away, Sean. What else is coming to your mind?
The exam is on the ACCA computer-based exam platform,
Mm-hmm.
and actually you should develop familiarity. You should actually, it's a bit like taking a driving test. Would you take a mock exam before your driving test? Of course you would,
Mm.
because you would make the mistakes in the mock driving test, which you would learn from, reflect on, and then hopefully not make those on the day of your actual driving test. So my advice would be try to do a mock 2-time on the ACCA CBE platform.
Mm.
Remember, the ACC platform is not Word, it's not Excel, it's specific software that the ACCA use. So if you don't do that, I would suggest it's like taking your driving test on a bicycle. You take your driving test in a car. Yeah,
Mm.
maybe if you have your own car or you can borrow someone's car to learn in, that would be a good one to take your test in. But you wouldn't learn to drive on a bicycle. You'd learn to drive in a car. So I don't really think it's good doing exams to time on Word and Excel because it's not what the exam is like. The
Mm.
exam is ACCB. So do that. Organize your life and put study in your life, but put a lot of fun in there as well because that will enable you to recover. Your brain is like any other muscle. If I was training for a marathon, I would have days off to let my muscles recover.
Mm.
If you're a runner, James, and you run marathons, you don't train every single day.
No.
And that's the same with studying, but you wouldn't do all your marathon training 2 weeks before the marathon because that's not going to work. You'd build it up. So, you've got those 10 weeks to build it up. So, yeah. And also, the other thing people don't do in the SBL is because they often, from the applied skills level where we have to regurgitate things, they often don't have the confidence to express an opinion because
Mm-hmm.
SBL is you're supposed to be someone in the workplace. And I would say, well, what would you do in the workplace? And say, well, I do that and do that. And say, well, Well, why didn't you say that?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know whether I could. Of course you can. The exam is to represent how you would behave in the workplace. The theories are great, but they are there never to be mentioned in your answer. They are there to catalyze your thought processes and help structure ideas, but
Spot
not
on.
to be used in the answer. It's not
Mm.
an academic exam, it's an applied exam.
Applied, applied. I've heard applied now from you 3, 4, 5 times. So if students listening have not got that written down, and just to add to your point as well on there, Sean, do as many past papers as possible as well.
Yep.
So
Get on the
underrated.
ACCA website. If
Mm,
you can't afford to buy a mock off someone or do a mock, I mean, try and get a study buddy that could mark it. But the ACCA have a practice platform that you can go on for free and get used to the familiarity. They have articles on their website to
yeah.
kind of educate you how to navigate around it. You must do that.
Spot on, Sean. Well, thank you so much for all of the tips, hints, advice, and just running through the actual exam itself. And what I've done for you
It's all
guys
right,
is
James.
I've put Sean's details down below in the description of this video, so feel free to click it. As you can see, lovely chap on there, and maybe you can come and have a chat to him about and explain his second name of Purcell. We'll see how the other interpretations of it come out from there, Sean. But as I said, thank you so much for coming on today. Really appreciate it on there, Sean.
No problem at all, James.
That's
And well done for what you're doing. Yeah.
Oh, more than welcome. So feel free to leave any comments you have, guys, or any questions you have. Sean and I will be sure to have a look at them and answer them. Leave them in the description below. And of course, if you have liked the video today, give it a massive thumbs up on that. But all I can say is best of luck with your exam, the ACCA
Yeah.
SBL
Best of
exam.
luck, everyone.
Best of luck. Maybe you're watching this and it's tomorrow. Who knows? Do a short on there. Could have 6 weeks and your feet up. But as I said, best of luck. I hope the tips helped. And on that bombshell, we'll see you next time. Cheers.